Hey there, my name is Nichole McCloy, and my husband Brian and I picked up our family, our three children, and our two dogs, and we moved to Manatee County back in August of 2020 during the pandemic because we were living in the state of Colorado, and it became very evident to us pretty early on that we held very different values than the people surrounding us. And so we decided we needed to get back to the East Coast, and we came to Florida for the freedom that you were all experiencing here, for a governor that we find amazing, and we just decided it was time. So we didn't really look at schools. We didn't really consider what we were moving to. We found a house. Across the street was a great, what we were told was a great elementary school, and then down the street was a great high school. And so we just moved here expecting to send our kids to public school. We'd always attended public school in Colorado for as long as we could remember. Our oldest is 14, and our kids have always attended public school, either public school or a charter school, because in Colorado we had something called school choice, so you could choice your kids into any school you wanted, and we always just ended up getting in where we wanted to have our kids. I had never been to a school board meeting in my life because I didn't need to. We happened to attend church with many of the school board members at our last school, and so we knew that the things our kids were learning in school were things that we could stand by, that we agreed with, and we just never had any problems. We learned very quickly after moving to Manatee County that things were very, very different here in the school system, in the public schools and the government schools. And it didn't take long before our kids just were not having a good time. Our oldest was really not thriving. She started having tummy issues and not wanting to go to school the next day. Our middle two kiddos who were in elementary school were just didn't like it. They didn't like school. They had always loved school. My kids get up early. They're excited to go to school. They're all really great students. Teachers are always raving about how friendly and helpful they are and how kind they are, and they've always loved school. So this was a really strange thing for us. So I started attending some school board meetings because I thought, this is crazy. The reason I started attending the school board meetings was because our kids were being forced to mask up, and I thought that was really, really strange to live in a county where there was no mask mandate at all. There was no mask mandate, but yet the kids were having to mask up. And I couldn't figure out how this school board that was supposedly conservative, many of them, was requiring our children to mask up. It didn't make sense to me. So I started attending school board meetings, and I realized the school board didn't work for the parents or for the constituents, the people that voted them into their seats. The school board works for the government. They do whatever the government wants. They do whatever the government entities want. And so quickly I said to myself, this is not going well. They are not ever going to side with parents on anything unless it serves them as well. Strange thing, but here we are in a red city, a red county, in a red state with a very blue school board. So eventually it got bad enough with my high schooler that I pulled her from school. I also pulled my second grader because he had some things happen at school that weren't so wonderful. My fifth grader stuck it out. She was the one, if anything, being made fun of and being called names and just having, kids be horrible to her, but she's the one who actually wanted to stay in school. She didn't want to come and be homeschooled. It didn't take us long to learn homeschooling was not for us. My kids love going to school. They love hanging out with their friends. They love spending time with their teachers. They love learning in that environment. And so it broke my heart because not only was I trying to run my business from home, but also I have kids at home that are just sad. They were sad kids. They didn't want to be there. They wanted to be in school. They wanted to have what they used to have back before this whole pandemic thing started and masks were going on. And so we ended up finding out about a school that was a private school, and it was really close to our house. It was a private Christian school. But oh my word, the cost of the school, it was going to be like $30,000 a year to send all three of our kids there. And we just prayed about it, and we're like, I don't think this can happen. Like, it's just out of our ballpark in terms of what we could afford. We didn't want to take out a loan to send our kids to school, basically, is what it came down to. And then we learned about the Hope Scholarship. And so it was key. It was instrumental in being able to, utilize a scholarship and be able to send our kids to a school where they could thrive. And so I didn't think we'd qualify because our income was too high for most scholarships that I had heard about. But because the Hope Scholarship does have a lot of caveats and a lot of ways it can be used. It doesn't have to just be traditional bullying that you think of when you think of bullying. You think of, a swirly in the toilet or somebody beating up your kid or, being really harsh to them. It pretty much can be used for lots of things. And so if you have a kid, if you have a child who you want to move out of a public school, you need to reach out to Florida Citizens Alliance because we did, and it changed everything for us. All of our children, all 3 of our kids, started at the private Christian school down the street from our house in January this year. And they were able to do that because we had so much help and support from Florida Citizens Alliance. And, it wasn't even hard. The process wasn't hard. It was actually really, really easy. When we first started looking at it, I thought, gosh, it's intimidating to have to reach out to a principal and get a letter signed when you don't really have something documented. You don't have, bullying documented. You don't have a kid being mean to your kid documented because that stuff happens every day, all the time. But it really was simple. It was so easy. It was one form that you fill out and you give to the principal to sign. They have to sign it. They can't say no. They literally have to sign it. It can be a substantiated thing or an unsubstantiated thing, meaning they can investigate all they want. Doesn't matter what they find. Your kid will qualify for that scholarship. Also, remember, it doesn't have to be the kind of bullying you're thinking of in your head. There's so many loopholes. So if you want your kid out of the public school system, reach out to Florida Citizens Alliance. My kids are thriving today. They love to go to school. They have amazing friends. They're happy, and we are so grateful